Good evening, everyone. I'm gonna do a quick breakdown of all the pairs I'm looking at for the week of August 14th, excuse me. Starting with EU. As we can see, EU is definitely bearish. It's been doing a sideways correction to the upside, tapping into the inefficiency that was left behind on the daily. I believe price is officially, let's say that with a grain of salt, done buying because it officially tapped into the inefficiency that was left behind the market. As you can see, it took out the inefficiency and actually traveling back into the official breaker structure that happened. So all this right here, price has been delivered efficiently now to these levels. Price can trade back up into this H4 supply zone, which I will trade on a lower time frame when I get there. But just from the daily alone, you can tell that price has failed to make a new high after breaking this, and we're starting to see a nice strong rejection from this fair value gap that we see on the daily. Down to the H4, as you can see, that same level has been targeted. A shift has occurred here, and we can see price starting to make its way back down. Either two scenarios here, either make its way back down to clean up the rest of the inefficiency to continue higher into the supply zone, which is very possible, or price is ready to make its ascent. I'm more inclined to believe it's ready to make its descent, so I'm more bearish with the idea that it looks like the daily is bearish, weekly is bearish, and the H4 is now shifting bearish. The H1 and the lower time frames are definitely shifting bearish. You can see where prices failed to make a new high here, breaking this weak low that was put in. Price has formed a supply zone right underneath that weak low, which indicates to me that price may carry lower down into at least the daily levels around price 1.0400 area, which is the area I'm looking to target. But let's say price does decide to come into the 1.0250 area, show a shift, take price higher, I'll look for buys. But I'm more inclined to believe it will sell from these levels that are clearly marked on this chart. And that is my thought process on the U. I am bearish unless it shows me otherwise. Next pair I'm focused on will be GU. GU, very similar situation. I don't really see a buy scenario at all in GU. This is why I'm more inclined to believe that it's ready to sell. Price has traded into the premium level of this last swing up and swing down. Demand did break here, which we were looking at before. He was actually looking for sales earlier, but news pushed price higher, which is fine. It did not break above that supply, the premium level. That also gives me indication that price will sell. Last two guys, we took a lower time frame sell myself here, and I'm gonna continue my move. Want price to come and finish clean up this inefficiency on the 4 hour and take price down to at least the 1.20 level. That's the target I'm reaching for. I'm actually reaching for lower targets than that, but let's go with this first target for now. And that is my thought process on GU. We look on the lower time frames, you can tell that GU has shifted in structure. It has not made it failed to make new highs, took out its fresh weak lows that it formed, cleaned up the inefficiencies, and right now price is tackling maybe a lower time frame, maybe a 2 hour. I forget what time frame this was, but I think maybe was okay, that 30-minute supply that was put in. Excuse me, demand that was put in, which is still relevant demand because it did break some significant structure here on the left. But I believe it's just a reaction area just to take price up to this supply zone here. Maybe just to clean up this inefficiency because I know this price does trade clean off inefficiencies. It may not actually make it up into this fresh supply that was put in here. So we'll see how price plays out, but I'm looking to enter this trade around price 1.21680 area. That's what I'd like to see price come to. The price can trade down a little bit, officially taking out this fresh demand here. That'll be even better. But I'll be looking to enter either way around here to take price down to that 1.20 level. Those are my thoughts on GU. The next pair I'm focused on will be NZD USD. Very similar setup in USD. I'm actually looking for NZD USD to trade up. Maybe look for a short-term buy. Probably supposed to come down here to tap into this fresh supply up here. Look at the daily real quick. Let me see what I was looking at. Okay. Right now, price is actually sitting around its supply zone. It's not on the daily. I believe that supply zone is actually on the 4 hour. If I remember correctly. Let me double check. Yes, that supply is actually on the 4 hour. And this was that last move before price decided to break structure to the downside, making that last swing that occurred in the market. So now I'm looking for price to travel up into that one to 0.65, 1.6500 area. Show me a shift to take price lower. And if that is not the case, I'm keeping an open mind to the fact that price can continue to buy. And where only place I will be looking to buy it from is that 1.0.6300 area to clean up all this inefficiency that left behind. Price can easily trade off this fresh supply that was put in, this fresh demand that was put in, and look to see what it does here around that 0.65 200 area. If I see a shift, I'll take price to take out all this left behind supply or left behind demand and liquidity that was left behind down here. And that is my current thought process on NZD USD. The next pair I'm focused on will be AU. AU, very similar scenario to NU. I would like to see price trade up a tad bit, targeting its supply zone that was left. Because right now, currently, if you look at it, price is actually sitting in a supply zone on AU. It's just sitting there, so maybe you'll see a shift here. The only reason why I don't think this supply zone will hold because there is a higher supply up here that it can target, which is still valid in my opinion. But there's also a fair value gap that has yet to be filled. And I believe I see that fair value gap on like let's call it the 3 hour. I believe I can't remember exactly. Yes, so on the 3 hour, you see that there's a fair value gap that price has yet to trade into here. So price is currently sitting right below that fair value gap. So I can see it being tapped into before going lower, which would be an ideal look for a price to take into. But keeping in mind that it may just trade down to inefficiency to trade higher, whether it targets the low of the inefficiency or just the last swing of the inefficiency, take price higher. But I'm looking for at least prices that reach the 0.7100 area and see what it does from there before considering lower prices after that. But I would like to target all these lows down here that was placed and left behind. So flow of the market is the best thought for this particular pair. With that being said, the last pair I'm focused on, the very last pair. There are several pairs I'm looking at, but just for the Zoom purposes, I will only show a few just so we can have an idea of what we're doing for this week. And I will post more charts as I see stuff develop. So as we can see that UCAD is definitely starting to shift bearish, and is still, in my opinion, officially still bullish until it breaks below that 1.25 level. But I think price is making its way back to all the inefficiency that it left behind. So I believe that I'm expecting to see more bearishness to clean up all this daily inefficiency that was left behind in the market. It did break some structure here. It actually already broke structure since here, since the 5th of July, and it's just been correctively moving its way down. And I think it's ready to make its next move to the downside. I identified a fair value gap that was left behind after taking out these double bottoms here, which was ideal for it to do last week. This was actually a pretty good sell. If you noticed, once you saw these double bottoms form, you could have looked for a lower time frame entry for a sell. I didn't catch it personally, but now looking at it now, I see that that was an option, an opportunity to enter the trade there. But right now, I'm looking to see it travel back up to clear up the inefficiency that was left behind the market around price 128, 183 level. So maybe price trades down lower a bit more before trading up. If more supply is introduced into the market beforehand, then I'll be looking at those areas. But my current spot I'm looking at is that 1.28, 183 level. That's where I'll look to take price for a sell, targeting those daily levels, which are down here around that 125 level. And then we see what price does from there. That's my thought processes on UCAD. And that's all I have for this particular Zoom video. I will post more charts in the group as I see them develop. Let's have a good trading week. Trade with care. Have a good one.